My video for March the 11th, 2018 is entitled Pope Francis Found Guilty of Child Trafficking, Rape, Murder. Before I read the blurb, I want to say it starts with the word yesterday. I received it on the 9th of March, which was yesterday when I'm recording this. And I'm not sure if it's older or newer. It came from one of my friends named Jose. That's all I'm going to say about it now. I'm reading exactly what was sent to me. Yesterday, defendants Pope Francis Bergoglio, Catholic Jesuit Superior General Adolfo, Pachon, and Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, were found guilty of rape, torture, murder, and trafficking of children. 5 judges of the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels determined that the crimes occurred as recently as 2010. Since last March, over 48 eyewitnesses have come forward to testify before the International Common Law Court of Justice court about the defendants' activities as members of the Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice Cult. The Ninth Circle Satanic Cult was said to do child sacrifices at Roman Catholic cathedrals in Montreal, New York, Rome, Scotland, London, Carnarvon Castle in Wales, an undisclosed French Chateau in Holland, and at Canadian Catholic and Anglican Indian residential schools in Kamloops, British Columbia, and Brantford, Ontario, Canada. The Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice Cult was believed to use privately owned forest groves in the US, Canada, France, and Holland for their human hunting parties for global elites, including members of European royal families. Teens were said to be obtained by the mafia, then stripped naked, raped, hunted down, and killed. The chief prosecutor said, quote, "The Catholic Church is the world's largest corporation and appears to be in collusion with the mafia, governments, police, and courts worldwide," end quote. Now, again, that whole thing is actually a quote. There's quotes within the quote. And in case you don't know, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope that I believe, it's always been the dark pope who has been the head pope, but he's the first Jesuit pope to get to that office as the head pope of the church. There was always been a white pope and a black pope, and the Jesuit pope was always known as the black pope. I'm not certain, but that this practice of pedophilia is not and has not been rampant throughout the elite establishment, both in religion and in politics around the world for generations, going back a very, very long time. We have a tendency to point our fingers at the Rothschilds and others that have been labeled by some as fake Jews because they're Ashkenazis and not traceable back to the Middle East. There's 2 different classifications. We've talked about that in other videos. But if this is true, and I put the word if in front of that because I get reports of things that are said to have happened that did not, there's no substantiating evidence from my perspective anyway, to show that it's brought any lasting change to the human society in our world. And if true, bringing down the Pope and the others named in this, at the beginning of this blurb that was sent to me, if that is true, it is indicative of a real change. Now, we also have to bring down, in addition to the religious involvement and corrupt leadership. We need to bring down the monetary leadership of the Rothschilds and what are known as international bankers. It's a 1-2 punch, actually a 1-2-3 punch. We need to bring down the spiritual aspect or the religious aspect of it. We need to bring down the monetary aspect, and we also need to bring down the political aspect. Hopefully, that's one of the things that Donald Trump is trying to do when he talks about draining the swamp. It is a very deep swamp, and indeed, it does need to be drained. We're not going to have peace on earth ever as long as these three areas of our human culture are not addressed, and addressed in a very positive and firm manner. There can be no escape provisions for the people that have done these dastardly deeds. They must have their feet held to the fire and be held accountable for actions which are abhorrent to any thinking person, any person with a loving heart. And people that are otherwise very intelligent but don't have heart are not truly thinking people, because they're out of balance. They're out of kilter with reality. They're unable to have any discernment whatsoever. Everything is based on some other tangible thing rather than the intangible qualities of love and joy and peace and gentleness and forgiveness and the attributes that we would attribute to someone who is spiritually at least getting better balanced in their lives. We all need to get better balanced in our lives. We all need to put on a different aspect that allows us, or adopt a different aspect that allows us to embrace those that are different, and at least, again, as I've said so many times, listen to them. We need to hold the people at the highest levels accountable. And until that is done in some manner, we cannot achieve our highest goals, our highest ambitions, to actually work together and to have a cooperative human society instead of one that is always invested in conflict and always invested in one-upmanship and trying to outdo the other and finding excuses to kill those that are different or silence them in some way. And there's other videos that I need to make about this subject, and I hope to be able to touch on these things and point a finger in the direction that we need to look at and take seriously. There's a whole bunch of people that are trying to silence people from telling the truth because there are moneyed interests involved and they're afraid it'll affect their bottom line. The hell with their bottom line. We are a human beings, and we need to rise up together and to try to overcome the lack of common sense that has been engendered in humanity by false education, by poisoning our food with GMOs, by poisoning our air with chemtrails, by poisoning our water with fluoride, by poisoning our food, by poisoning everything in our culture is being poisoned by those who want to maintain control. Something has to give. Something has to change. I pray with all of my heart that the real creator will stop standing by and saying anything goes, it's a free will zone, and start holding accountable those that commit obvious crimes against life itself. When are we going to wake up? More importantly, when is our Creator going to wake up? Our Creator is not separate from us. Our Creator is part of us. We are part of the Creator. We are all part and interconnected with each other. When are we going to realize that? It has nothing to do with sex. It has nothing to do with gender. It has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with nationality. It has nothing to do even with ideology. It has to do with freedom. Freedom. Are we going to be able to achieve freedom for everyone? That's the question I leave you with. Thank you for listening, and namaste.